just cracked 18,000 again. Sound on. Okay. Wicking off on 18,000, right at 18,000. Probably going to stay around here until the open. This is kind of where I thought we were going to bounce up into this area here. So we're going to watch this pretty closely. Our overnight high is up here, and our overnight low is right down here. Let's see if we can find our lines. Trader TV Live is the top snap. No, I don't have any for this micro. Not ready. Here's our overnight low. I'll make it 2. I'm gonna make it red. A little brighter red than that. And then the overnight high. The close is right in the middle of the range here. For some reason it's showing those two VWAPs. I don't like when it does that, but this will be the green line. Overnight high. Previous close is down below here at 17,961. No real major earnings for today. That's important. Let's see. Trading whispers. Earnings whispers. For the week. Zoom, we got Lowe's, Norwegian, Duolingo, Marathon, TJX, AMC, Best Buy, Dell. Nothing that's going to really be one of these major movers, like I said, on the write up. So there's nothing that I'm looking at as far as earnings are concerned. Everything's going to be data releases. And the data releases that we're looking at, today's were new home sales at 9. We did have what do we have at 7:30? We had building permits. Building permits came in at 1.489 million. Forecast at 1.47. It's just not really a moving number. Just showing that we've applied for building permits. 9 o'clock, you'll get new home sales, which is 2-star. Out of 3 in the impact scale. I think you'll get a little bit of algorithmic movement just from that idea. And then from there, we got the Fed manufacturing index at 9:30. Turn my fan on. So some slight information. We got 50 seconds until we open. 18,000. We're sitting right at it. Overnight high is sitting just above here, and overnight low is down there. We have Top Step X. We're gonna put this here, live stream. Go over to Tradecaster if you're on YouTube. Trying to build up that viewership there. We are currently sitting, I'm not gonna trust that, I'm gonna refresh it. 72% long here. I'm interested in that short then if it wicks that overnight high pretty quickly. Apple trying to open below lows. And I said that in my write-up, it's kind of beaten down, has down to 180. Apple, Nvidia, still trying to be NVIDIA, do NVIDIA things. Pushing down. Microsoft also. We opened below 412. I said if we pop up into 412, you could short it down to 406.18 potentially. Event, that's the longer term thought on that, but not that long. It could happen sort of quick. So we're gonna watch the 18,000 level and see what happens here. We are on micros on the funded account, and we are in the Top Step X account over there. We broke out of that overnight high. S&Ps kind of just hanging around that 5,100 level. It's got a hole below 5107 for shorts, and above 5107 could be a long opportunity on the S&Ps. So our opening range is here, about 109 ticks. It is Monday morning here. Microsoft creeping up to 412. Apple creeping up as well. Upside move to start. Amazon wicking down and bouncing. Meta rallying. Could be just a rally type day. That's not what I wanted. I wanted MSFD. Microsoft right into that range right there, 412. If it holds it, and just, you could sell off of that zone. If not, if it holds above and then bases, and then you could take a rally up to the high side, up into that 414 to 416 area. We are watching this NASDAQ short potentially. That's my thought on it. If we could fail through 18,000 is the key, right? Tilt is only 62% long now. It might have got heavy, but I didn't see it. First off, good morning, everybody. I hope you have a great trading week. I hope you had a really good weekend. Right now, we're really looking to be slightly patient on this, but I think we wicked up above that overnight high there, which was pretty much pre-market high. We've been rallying since last night at around 1 o'clock in the morning. Just kind of slowly creeping up. You got that little bit of a bounce play there. A false breakdown of this little trend line here. Fake breakout, fake breakdown here. Base out on top of this 17,970-ish level. And now you rallied right through 18,000. You're now looking to reclaim that. So maybe a breakdown of 18,000 again gets you that good flush. You do have the delta here trying to wick off as well. So risk to high of the day. If you're looking short, or if you want to see confirmation below 18,000, be the actual short. But I did like that idea of fading that overnight high. I would like to see maybe a bounce now off this opening range low up into that 18,028-ish level, and then we could kind of front run the short a little bit. Or if we get up in through here, try to make new highs. Delta doesn't make the new high, then rotate down. What's this? I can sell one on Top Step X. Down below the opening range low could yield this to be a good short. You can see the delta's trying to creep up. Price is still pushing to the downside, so you may just get that straight flush down through. See if we get the flush. I want to see what happens. If it gets to 18,000, what happens there? If it's going to bounce from 18 or if it's going to flush through the bottom. Oh, wrong one. Nvidia pushing to the downside. Microsoft pushing to the downside. 108. Risk 108. Like I said, I want to see this kind of push here into that green line and then short through. Holding that opening range low there. And this other view out there, I don't know how to get rid of it on this micro, so just ignore it. Microsoft is selling off hard. I think I'm going to take a short here through the bottom of these wicks and have a stop above this high there and then see where it goes from there. We are into the short. Let's see how low we could take it if it does continue to fail or if it's just going to bounce from here. I want to see what happens at 18,000, but Microsoft sold off. I told you, right, from that 412 level, that's a good sell zone for Microsoft. But everything, it's not playing good. Nvidia selling off hard too. Very interesting how this is acting. I'm gonna give this a little bit more room, to be honest with you. Stopped on the top step X. Actually, should we risk 100? Oh, we should be risking 100 on this. Risking 100 on here. I don't like this strength, to be honest with you, but I do want to give it a little bit of breathing room with the way Nvidia and Microsoft have sold off. I like that idea to continue to the short side. Microsoft, Apple. We got to that overnight high again, so overnight pre-market, whatever you consider it. Apple's still rolling over. Everything's rolling over, and the NQ is kind of staying stronger than anticipated. So I would like to see it roll here just to give us a slight correction from this level. If we get stopped out on it, we get stopped out. I just wanted to be in that opening range high for that to be the stop. Just based purely on all these names just being super, super heavy. Like, look at Apple, look at Microsoft, look at Nvidia. All these names are pushing to the downside, and the NQs were holding up. So we were at our overnight high. That's our normal fade, and then we're going to look to see if we can rotate it all the way down to the other end. No, not all the way down, but you know, as far down as we can get it. The overnight range would be nice to flush 18,000. If we get to 18,000, I'm going to get closer to break even because I don't want to risk a bounce at 18. A flush of this overnight, the opening range low should get us to 18, but if it holds here, then we could rally from here. But Nvidia still looks very heavy. Microsoft looks heavy. Apple looks heavy. Everything looks heavy to me. I'm going to continue to this short idea until it kind of proves me wrong above that level there. It's got to hold below this overnight high here for it to continue to fall. We got right down into our entry. Probably should have been entering up here at 28, but if sort of front ran it, and now we're just letting it do its thing here. Microsoft bouncing a little, but Nvidia is still just heavy, heavy, heavy. Interesting on how I'm not getting follow through on my short, so there's a chance that it doesn't play out. And if you just take the L and move on, if that's the case, but really I think we are going to hold here. Look at how Nvidia just continues to get some pressure. Microsoft has pressure to the downside. Apple, it's okay. Apple, look at that, very heavy, 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 heavy. And NQ is still holding up here. I think we get to 18,000 and then we make a decision from there. I would love to see a flush of 18,000, just like a hard breakdown. Obviously, since I'm in the short, everybody would love to see any sort of breakdown. We're just going to hold this and let it kind of breathe a little bit. But if we do get down to 18, I don't want to be involved on like a hard bounce, right? With all these names pushing down and then looking to see maybe if they're catching a bid at all, then the 18,000 level holding would be important. Did not quite break down. I need to break down that opening range low. Everything is still heavy. The short should come in. Did we time it a little early? Maybe, yeah. But this is a potential good short here. From the high, overnight high to overnight low is really what I look to see rotation on these types of moves. Now Microsoft catching a bounce now. Nvidia bounced off of 793. It's relatively strong, like I said, for all these names to be beaten down and NASDAQ being held up. There's Nvidia pushing down again. Maybe the NASDAQ trusts it one more time. Maybe it's trying to hold up, see if these names are going to do anything. Still holding, still waiting to see if this overnight high is going to break. You see this delta starting to get heavier here. Tried to push up, try to push up, try to push up. Delta wicked off. Price kind of just sat there. I think if you do get a good flush, it's going to be a heavy flush to the downside. I think 18,000 probably cracks. If it does crack quickly, we're going to trail kind of quick. If it holds and breaks, and bounces, then we got to watch it very carefully as well. We're so close to 18,000. I think that we, especially in the market session, we're going to probably want to get to there. It's such a psychological level. There's the push down. A little bit of a push down. I think if we can get through that bottom of that opening range, you have more of a consistent break. If it bounces from there, then you're going to try to be careful and get out probably just above this overnight high. But I think we can see if this is the break point. I'm going to see if we can push through this opening range low, get through 18,000. If we can get through 18,000, that flush is really what we're looking for. It's got to be a hard flush and it's got to hold. It can't just give you a bounce off of there. So just be careful of that. I'm actually going to go above the overnight high here. I think I don't want to risk more than that at this point. Now that we're trying to do the breakdown, like I said, if it doesn't give us the breakdown now, then we're going to be out. But if it does, then we should be involved and see how long we can hold this short. I would really like to hold it for a rotation to that overnight low. Overnight lows are the ultimate targets, obviously. 18,000 right here, right now. 18,000 right now. I'm going to go above this zone. If it bounces out of this zone, then we're out from 18,000. But let's see. If we could crack 18, if it just gives up the goat right away, then we should be, we're going to be break even. We're break even. So it's a free trade. So no matter what happens, we're in it. We're going to take this short and let's take the ride. Let's see how far down we can get. Absolute beautiful read of the high there. I cannot be mad at that whatsoever. I'm actually going to go above 18,005 there, 18,006. If we could flush this down through 975 is that low there. The ultimate overnight low is this red line. That's where I want that full rotation. Will we get it? I don't know. We've secured a pretty good amount of profits on this already. We just want to make sure that we hold below 18,000. Any sort of flush below 18 and then a rally up, we want to be out because we don't want to, I'm not talking about profit in money. I'm talking about profit in ticks. We managed that correctly. Maybe we take, we're going to take that right above the opening range. Oh, above this breakdown candle. It's pretty much break even on this with 18,000 being the line in the sand. Nah, it's going to go above this wick. Above this wick here. In that low volume node. 18,006. Should roll. If we can continue to hold below here at 18,000, hopefully we can continue this flush to the downside. Good first read of the week. I'm very happy we were able to read the market that well on these kinds of trades. My ideas playing out is all I could ask for. Microsoft at this bottom here, 410 from the pre-market, still has way lower to go. I think 406.18 is in play for Microsoft. Any sort of breakdown in NVIDIA, which it broke down that 793 level that was holding it up once we broke 18,000, and then we're going down to 785.78. So a lot of what I typed up in my pre-market plan last night playing out right here. Very, very happy with that. Continuing to roll to the downside, very good here. Gonna go stop at 18,001. So anything above 18,001, this is don't ignore this VWAP here. This VWAP doesn't mean anything. We are short from the highs. We're taking this thing as far down as we possibly can. Very happy with it. I'm gonna take probably one off down here at the close. I'm going to front run the close. The bottom end of this yellow zone is where I'm going to front run that. I would like to take one contract off there. Top step X up quite handily. I forget what I have to get my target to on that account, but it's rolling over, baby. Let's go. Woo! Hell yeah, baby. Let's go. Still rolling. I'm going to put my stop above this other VWAP thing here that I got going on. If I can get this one contract off, I'm going to leave the other one to run. But I'm securing that much on the profit end if I can. I really wanted to get that off there. I didn't get a chance to. I probably should have had it just a touch higher. But if we're going to stay this heavy, downside move, I'm going to be sticking with it as much as I possibly can. The reason I'm taking that one off there, you can see that this is that support, resistance. It's just like a key zone. I took that off on the Top Step X account. We're up 594 on that Top Step X. This is account number 665. We made too much money on Friday, so I need to make another $700 on that account to pass it and get another 50K account. We may bounce above this candle here on this yellow zone, or we can continue to just absolutely melt to the downside, but we'll see. We'll probably get stopped on this. I'll secure my first trade of the day, about 130 something ticks, if that's the case. If not, I'm gonna leave this stop. You know what? We're gonna put it above this candle. I'll take above this candle. We'll trail candle to candle. I want to see if I can get that one off there. I needed to make 916 target. 916, 200, 700 I needed to make. Just shy of that target now. Probably not going to execute much more on that account until I'm ready to go. But this looks like it wants to catch that bounce here. That was a good bounce. Like I said, I wanted to get that one off there. I didn't get it off, but we're flat now. All good. We're up 103 on the day here. Very good start to the day. Good execution on that. Called off that high, we called the flush at 18,000, and now we're probably pushing further to the downside. I wanted to get one contract off at 9. I mean, I had a couple ticks away from that first. I didn't place that take profit off correctly. Maybe I should just market it out on that one with one contract there, one contract, one off. right around there is about 95. But we're right back to 18,000 again, right? So this stop, I moved 20 bucks, 20 ticks. So it's really not a big deal. We can maybe look to re-enter short of 18,000, but you got to be careful because some of these names might be bouncing. Nvidia's still rolling 18,000. You don't want to risk too much on this if you do it again. All right. So we did switch over to micros on Friday when we started drawing down on this account. But we have been catching good ticks here. Absolutely. We were just up almost, on this trade here, we were up about 191 ticks. So we called that out right there really, really nicely. So let's be patient. I know we could short technically the 18,000 level again, but it's a retest of the breakdown. I would like to see it maybe get more whippy, get up into that zone more, maybe at that value area high, trick some longs into coming in, and then maybe look to short another breakdown of 18,000. But it's still very heavy, so I think another short here wouldn't be bad. I'm just not a fan of this other VWAP. So I guess that's today's VWAP. That's today's VWAP. This other VWAP is not important. Nvidia rolling over. So we call it 191 ticks there. Just about. I caught 100 ticks. I gave back about 90. But I was trying to get that one contract off there and did not. Very good move to start the day. Pretty happy with that. We're going to hold off on re-entering and FOMOing in or anything like that after getting stopped out. Sitting right on VWAP. I think a full rotation overnight high to overnight low could be in the cards for the day. Just based on my weekly analysis, right? We were talking about that being a case. I hope somebody else was able to catch that move. That was really, really a nice one there. This zone definitely was going to act as some sort of support. That's why I wanted to get my first contract off right around here. Did not. Probably should look to market out of those where I'm thinking to get out of. If I'm thinking to get out of one, if it looks like it's getting slow, I should just market out of those. That's something I'm going to just adjust moving forward. But it's good that we got out because unless I left my stop way up here, we would have been stopped out anyway at 18,000 for a bigger. We would have gave back another 50 ticks, which we didn't want to do. We took a lot of that move. If we're looking at it on a longer term, these are the bigger zones, right, that I have. That 18,000, I said we do have room down to that 17,900, 860 level. So I'm not opposed to that actually being where we're going to head if we can get some of these other names like NVIDIA to follow through. Microsoft also could get all the way down to that 406.18. Pre-market levels. Yesterday's low or Friday's low is 408.91. I just want to be careful with chasing this back down. I want to see another setup before I do get another short, right? You see a higher low here. Delta is congruent, so you may rotate back higher. That could have just been a liquidity grab of some of these orders, right? We had this. You held below here most of the overnight, and then you popped above. You held above it. Same thing here. You held it on Friday until you held it here. You flushed 18,000, and then you bounced right off this zone here. So this zone is an important area to be mindful of. Unfortunately, I said I drew down a little bit on that the funded account. We're now over the last couple days up like close to 300 and change. So we're looking to just slowly grind back, give ourselves a $1,000 buffer ish before we switch back to full contracts on this one. But to be up just like that first trade of the day right there, about 100 plus ticks, can't be mad about that. That's very, very good catch. We got S&Ps over here. That 51 07 3/4 level got wicked, got touched. We rolled from it. If it holds below here and continues, we could rotate down to these lows. I would say more likely in this area here would be that target that we're looking at for downside rotation. Failing that 5107. If it doesn't, if 5107 breaks and we hold to the upside, then the NQ's possibly looking to get above that overnight high-ish level, that 18,026 3/4, to rotate up to these, obviously the highs. But I would just be careful. Like I said, I think anything below 18,000, key level, very important. That's here. Anything below 18,000 is short, even with the VWAP here. Top step X. What's this if I do it here? It's 93 ticks. There's another breakdown. Seems like we're going to continue to rotate. Microsoft pushing lower. Apple also pushing lower. I mentioned this in that pre-market. I said these overhead values, 82.45, 82.75. I think we were just getting super, super heavy. Apple, once again, it wicked off the high on Friday. Carried us up some, and then we're looking to push right back down into that 180 zone. So I don't think, since you rejected that, I have no, not that I don't have a doubt, I do have some doubts, but I have a pretty good thought that it'll probably short down into that 180 before it decides to bounce. Microsoft always has to that 406.18 level. That's very important. And then Nvidia's wicked the bottom, not totally wicked at 785, 78. If we break down from 790.13, then I think we can start to carry down even further. So just watch Microsoft as the leader to the downside, it seems. I'm gonna sell that there. Fuck it. See what happens with that. That's just the combine. If we get above this 990, probably be out. I'd like to see a wick of this bottom here. That'd be nice. And then see if it would carry on. If we break through here and just continuation through this value area low. That's that overnight value area pretty much, because right now we've been rotating through it. Yeah, so it's still heavy. Market's still heavy. I think we still have some downside pressure to this. I don't think we get too much of a bounce. I think 18,000 is very, very important. I think we've shorted from it a few times now. I think the hold of 18,000 does continue you down, but you just got to be mindful of this low right there. This low here, 72 was a high here, and this wick low. So if we can't break 72, then that's just something to watch. So 72 right here, this higher volume node, 72.25, 73. That's the bottom there. The bottom end of this candle, 1972.25. That's what I want to look. That was what held overnight on the high side and the low side. So that was the wick off there. Microsoft still pushing heavy downside. Apple, heavy downside pressure as well. Nvidia cracked that low again here at 409, 790. I mean, a 790.10 level. If that breaks and fails, then I think 785 gets tagged again. But it's got a hold down there. I can't keep wicking it. But this is very, I mean, that's a heavy looking chart, right? Real true leader is there. There he is, Microsoft. 406.18 is my target on that. There we go. Push down. Come on now. I think if we can crack that 72, then you get another flush. Crack the 72 level, you get another flush. If it holds, you may rotate back to 18,000. But I think right now we're getting heavy and we're getting fast. Heavy fast right now. You can see that thing going down. Just crack 72s. There you go. Crack 72s. See if this will break down even further now. Looks like it wants to get heavy. 72 is that line in the sand. Kind of wicked it, kind of wicked it, kind of wicked it. Now we're kind of bouncing off of it. 601. This may push higher after that grab, but I think you break down, then you continue to rotate to the downside. 72. Should be, if it breaks here, then it should get a hard push to the downside. I think it's gonna. I think we feel super heavy here, unless I can see Microsoft pushing down. Nvidia broke that 790, getting heavy. This market's gonna get pretty heavy pretty fast. I think we could probably go look to short this through the bottom. I'm gonna take a shot at it. Through that was a nice wick there. If we can get through it again, I'm gonna take it, but. It's just based on this heavy market on Nvidia, on Apple, on Microsoft. Everything is rolling and not really looking back much. So I think if we can crack 72s, then we're on this break of it, then we should be able to break down further. But if we do catch a bid here, obviously I said that 72 level held overnight. We wicked it twice now. We're looking to rotate back up to 18,000 now, it looks like. Apple wicked up to 181 and now is rotating down. Microsoft still pushing downside. There's really not a ton of information saying that it wants to turn around right here. I don't have anything to the left. I gotta see. Nvidia wicked 790. It's a lot of wicks there, so that's the only concerning thing, right? There's a 5-minute wick. We broke down again 790 and popped. But if we break that and hold, I think we do rotate down. That's why I have my stop order below 72, because I think if we break through 72, we could probably get that hard push down to that 46.50 level. 46.50 would be a nice little downside target. But that overnight low is really where that ultimate goal is. Let's see what happens. S&Ps are still heavy. We're taking this. This would be our second trade of the day. Like I said, below 72 is the where I want to take the short. That high volume node, take the short through the low volume and down all the way to the overnight low, with some continuation help from our friends over at Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple. Those are the names that I'm looking at for the help to the downside, right? I think you get heavy here, and then it's just kind of, we don't look back kind of deal. But that's if these names play. 80 just broke. 80 broke with some pressure there. If this is just a wick off and then we get trapped, then so be it. I think really though that's look at, you can see Microsoft just roll. 406.18 can't not want to be touched. Apple also looking to break down on the lows. If it breaks down the lows, 180.60, 180.80, then down into that 180 zone, and if it bids up off of there, that's where we got it. This is where we would have to be careful for bounces on the NQ. But right now, I don't think we're close enough yet to see that. I think maybe a little bit further down, if it has to be 180, anything below 181, maybe start being careful for bounces on Apple. But we're holding, even though these names are pushing down. We saw this on the high end. We're holding, and then the names broke down, and we broke down with the names. But the names led us. They led us to the downside. So right now, they're still pushing down. Nvidia caught a little bit of a wick wick liquidity grab, possibly looking to rotate higher. Maybe that's what's front run here on the NQ. Microsoft caught a bounce. I don't know what would decide that that's the bounce area. We're right at the bottom. We wicked off the low of on Friday, overnight low. If we go back above 18,000, I mean, maybe down here, this is a support. But I think if you get through it, then you could probably look to continue to rotate down. 18,000 back in here. We're back through, up through 18,000 now, pushing up pretty strong. That was a very strong Delta candle. Glad we didn't get into the short. You can see this is kind of, now that you're looking at it, hindsight looks like grabbing some liquidity, a higher low, held above the level, good rotation to the high side. So if you're on in that long, good on you. The reason I had my stop down below here is because I think if this failed, then you do get that full rotation through. The next break of it probably does get us that rotation through. Right now, I'm not convinced, that 18,000 just got wicked again and failed. I'm up 601 on my Top Step X. You can see it here. I'm over the threshold for passing to get a new 50K funded account. However, I made a little too much on Friday, so I needed to make another $700 today. We're up 601. I'm not going to try and just force in something just to get $100. So I'm going to wait and see, let this thing kind of fail on me, and then just take that quick out and look to secure it. Although we could look to short that 18,000, probably secure whatever we need on that. But I'm not trying to force it in right now. I'm looking to be patient, trying my best to secure another 50K in funding. And I have a couple other Top Step at combines. You could have up to 5. I could have up to 5 with the code. So I have them, just kind of waiting. Gonna pass one at a time. So 18,000. Microsoft wicked the bottom from Friday and is bouncing. Apple bouncing off 181.20. You same deal here. Nvidia. Nvidia broke right back above 793.78. That was the key bounce point on the pre-market session, and that was when we first pushed down. That's where you saw that initial rejection. So now if we rotate up with Nvidia, then you can see if we hold 18,000, get back above overnight highs, maybe that's a sign of some more longs. But I did mention pre-market right up above 18,000 for the most part, above this zone. Above this zone here, you're going to look to get long. Anything below here, you're looking to get short. That's what this is. This is that area. But I do not trust longs to hold. Like I mentioned, I look to hold my shorts a little bit longer, but this, you can see it's an accumulation, rotate higher. Now we're looking to see if we hold that 18. If we fail it again and fail to make that new high on the breakout, you can break down 18,000 again and look to short it and take it through and down to the lows. Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Wiki on both ends. We're sitting up $103 on this account. I did show you the Top Step X account. I was trading full contracts. I'm up 5 and change on that. Nvidia looking like if it fails 793, possibly look to take that down. What's up, AK? How we doing, brother? I'm watching this 18,000 level. You're all done. I'm sure you killed it already. Going to take a ride in the new car, I bet. I'm looking at this 18,000 to fail again. If Nvidia fails that 793, 40, 50 level, then this should rotate down as well. We're just sitting up in, We're up $100. We switched to micros on this account with a little drawdown last week, so we're just building back a buffer. And then we're showing people how to pass combines, and that's what we're looking at for the Top Step account. Up about, like I said, we're up 601 on that account there. Just kind of waiting, be patient, seeing what we can do. I think 18,000 fails again, so we can look to short that here possibly. But with NVIDIA's strength, I don't want to do that. So I don't want to be tricked into a short and then it rallies. So I'm waiting. I'm being patient on it. Just kind of being hold. Hell yeah. I hope your people made money with you. I'm sure they did. I'm looking to just trying to be chill on a Monday. Mondays and Fridays tend to either get me in trouble or I do really well. So right now I'm just kind of honing in on my patience is really what I'm trying to do. That's the big thing. If I can get certain levels to play along with me, then I'm gonna be aggressive, but I'm not going to try and get tricked in at key zones. There's actually a flush of NVIDIA. Flush of 18,000. Could get that rollover. But like I said, I want to get short through 970, 972. I know it was the bounce play, but I think that the true flush happens through 972. That's why my entry's down here. Could cheat on one here and just get in on it. But I don't want to do that. I want to be, 18,000 is a really good area to be short. There's probably some big players up there. We're just going to be patient. If you want to be aggressive, I don't hate it. I would just be careful of these other names like NVIDIA, like Microsoft, like Apple. You could see Apple trying to catch a little bit of a bid after that little bit of that dip down here with this larger indecision candle, but I would be careful if it approaches that 181, 84. 84 to 80, 182 flat. I would be careful with Apple. And then, like I said, that's why I didn't short that 18,000 level right there, because I didn't trust that NVIDIA didn't want to kind of rotate higher if it wicked down. And now if you get a lower high, potentially then the next short through 18,000 would be the real one. It's just more about timing than anything. Timing and money management, and then just being aware of your surroundings here of these other names that are really driving this market, right? The reason that I trade futures is because it is very heavily weighted with these equities, and I would like to trade the equities, but I don't want to have to pick names. I want to see relative strength, relative weakness, and then I kind of fade and adapt to those names as they go. So you see Apple pop back up. I'd say be careful up into 182, probably 182 even. I would watch that. If it breaks above 182 even, maybe watch a rotation to the highs. NVIDIA also holding this, wicked off. With the way that it has been, with the earnings, with the guidance, this could turn into a monster really fast. So that could drive the NASDAQ to highs. I mentioned that this zone is the key area, right here. If we hold above this 18,000 to 18,010-ish zone, that you get a hold of it, you could rally to highs because this market is irrational. It doesn't care about rates or anything at the moment, it seems. It just wants to continue to go upside. So we're just going to be mindful of it. If we do fail it, however, like I said, if you fail it again, maybe the next failure down through 18,000 is your friend. It's the actual breakdown, but you have to be careful of these other names, right? You see NVIDIA get strong. You see Microsoft get strong. I don't want to switch this one. I want to switch this one. You see Microsoft get strong, pushing off these lows, then possibly look to just take that long. But really just watch these names. I want to see what Meta is doing. Meta was pushing up 2, but now it's been faltering. I did mention it in my write-up. I mentioned Amazon in my write-up. I mentioned Amazon looks to short with these wick-off highs. It was on the 30-minute candles. It looks a little bit cleaner. We did break above those in that pre-market, but we failed it. So any rotation below that 174.51, these blue lines, 171, 167, those are good targets, right? And you can see this trend line kind of developing here. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Any sort of crack of that downside, that 174.51, it's a confluence, right? It's a level, and it's also a trend line crack. So If Amazon cracks, it's one of those important names. Microsoft. Did we? Look at that. Look at that. Me and Deck on the same page. I think this break of 18 this time possibly is the true break of it. So I'm going to be actually looking to be interested because of my delta push to the downside. It's weird. It's almost like the trend line thing works, or the zones are repeatable, or that markets are actually able to be profited from if you do things consistently the same way over and over again. And being involved in this community here at Tradecaster, be it me, be it AK, be it Deck, you're going to get a lot of different information, but a lot of the same information, all trying to do the same thing, right? We're all trying to make money. And also, we're not trying to tell you exactly what to do. We're just giving you guidance, and then you can make your own educated choices, because one day you might not need us, and then that's the goal, right? You want to be able to do this self-sufficient. I would love to tell you this level and say, I want to go short here and you want to go long, and we both make money because of our strategies are slightly different. And that's totally possible when it comes to this game. So I think everybody out here is doing really good stuff. Every streamer in here, everybody who's a member of Tradecaster has the right idea, because if you're a member of Tradecaster, you got the right idea going with this stuff. So I'm actually considering here, let me just see what NVIDIA is doing before I decide on this. Creeping this entry up. NVIDIA is still a bit stronger than I want to be. And I want to see what Amazon, if it held that level better. Yeah, Amazon held, and it's rotating higher. So 18,000 may hold again. I am holding myself out of this at this level. I think it's just too much of a manipulative level where I don't want to be involved in this, because this is what gets me in trouble. I think, I'm going to go short, I'm going to go long. I'm going to go short, I'm going to go long. And that's just what screws you up, right? So let's just be patient. Obviously, you have this opening range here. If we accept back into the opening range and hold, right? None of these candles held. This wicked off, broke down, wicked off, closed below. If you get a hold and a close above inside this opening range, then the longs possibly come in a little bit harder. But S&Ps is actually rolling over. So we have a little bit of a divergence here between the S&Ps. You can see here, S&Ps pushing downside on that 30-minute, looking to break lower. And then you have the NQ on the 30-minute pushing higher. So there is a divergence. You got NQ pushing up, ES pushing down. And right now we're diddling with this 18,000 level. So if the ES is leading downside, then you may get a chance to get that next 18,000 break to be the real breakdown. But I don't know which is leading yet. I haven't really seen much of that information where I can be confident that, hey, S&Ps are leading, or hey, NQs are leading. But it really seems NVIDIA is stronger, Microsoft strong, Apple also rolling over now. So Apple Microsoft is the heaviest weighted, Apple second heaviest weighted. Apple is sort of keeping this at bay, right, with Microsoft catching the bounce and NVIDIA also breaking through and bouncing and looking to rotate back to the highs. The thing that's holding the NASDAQ back right now is this Apple name, right? You can see Apple looking to be heavy. I do think we have Apple down to the 180 zone below. But if Apple's the only one that's doing it, you saw last week, you saw the week before, Apple was beaten down. The markets rallied. So I'm not convinced that the short's in. With that NQ and ES divergence, it seems like maybe the NQ is leading upside. So if you're looking to take a divergence type trade, if you get the S&Ps above 102 flat-ish, then it might continue on upside from there. So I would watch those levels, 5,000, 102 flat or quarter, I would say. That would give you upside move on ES. I'll show you on here. Let's show it on a shorter time frame. All right, S&Ps. Wow, this chart looks like shit. Where are we? 5,101. Why is it all the way up here? I hate this sometimes when it does this. maybe I gotta reload the history. There we go. Reload the history. So you can see this is the ES range that we have for the day. We gave this bigger push down. We thought that, hey, maybe which is leading? There's a divergence, S&Ps or NASDAQ. And you saw that the NASDAQ was pushing high side while this was pushing lower. And I say if you break above this 102 quarter, that's that opening range area here, maybe you rotate higher if the NQs continue to play along. So we're going to watch all these things. This is how I just go through my day. Just thinking logically through some of these moves, and then I try and just execute based solely on the price action and trying not to just get married to my biases, right? My bias, if you watched me for any period of time, is I think that this market is super overweighted to the high side. I mean, it's just irrationally long. Especially with the way the Fed's rhetoric is talking and with interest rate decisions and the realities of economic conditions, right? You're showing strong economic conditions, but you're showing credit card companies with balances at all-time highs, with interest rates at all-time highs pretty much right now, like, recent all-time highs. So these rates are super high. People are carrying heavy balances on their cards. They're reporting record high defaults in credit cards. So the spending is all, the economic strength is inflated, not just in inflation, but in that it's heavy credit card debt, heavy consumer debt, and there's lots of defaults going on. So yes, my bias is short because at any moment those defaults can continue to come into play, and then not only does the economy show that it's weakening, people are spending less money, but also you're going to start to see a lot more defaults. You're going to see a lot more economic hardship, right? You're going to the store and you're noticing that you're spending $600 more a month than you did a year prior. That's troubling. And so for me, for stock markets to be at all-time highs in this condition, it's just waiting for that heaviness to come in. However, the good old saying goes, the markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So on a day-to-day basis, I try to remove that overall arching, actual view of what's going on around me and try and trade what's going on in the charts on just a day-to-day basis, right? I just want things to be in front of me and reactive and not so much. We're at that overnight high again. That divergence kind of showing its face where the S&Ps is catching up. I do see Apple is starting to curl now. So Apple started to curl. Nvidia probably still shooting up higher, right to that 800 level and rejected. So that's a very important level as well. All those round numbers, psychological numbers. Microsoft also rallying. So we're at that overnight high. I wanted that full rotation. We did take that short. This is where we shorted earlier. Do we look to short again? I would have to get a delta divergence. I would have to get something else going on. But we're in that where the bids are catching up, and they may just start to pile in, and I don't like that. 75% long on the tilt. So retail is also piling at these highs. So may get another little wick of the highs before we end up rotating downside. 76% long. I think that's starting to get heavy long to me. And then you're not getting a lot of follow through on this delta, right? Delta's pushing higher. Price isn't really giving you that strong push. Yes, we broke that previous high. Same thing here. Microsoft getting strong, pushing up. This is a very consolidated area from Friday, so it would need some sort of push to get above 410 and 3/4. It's 9:24 a.m. Central Time. We did get those new home sales numbers right, almost in line. I mean, just missed. Forecast was 0.67. Actual is 0.661. So, turbo shot time. Gotta love the espresso shots. I know AK said he didn't need coffee, but I need as much coffee as I possibly can get at all times. So if I had an IV of coffee, we would be very happy. I think that the ability to short this overnight high again is coming in. I could already see your energy in all your videos, so I think I could definitely recognize that you don't need the caffeine. Some people don't need it, and some of us need it at all times to fuel our addiction. So it's a double-edged sword. It's either you love it or you don't need it. You know, I feel like there's no real like average coffee drinkers. It's just like a full-blown meth addiction. We are pushing at these highs, this overnight high. I want to see what happens at that opening range high. That red line there is that opening range high. Microsoft popping up. NVIDIA looking to give you it's not an inside 5 quite yet. Once every 3 years. That's crazy. Oh, well, I guess I developed the addiction playing college baseball. My mom always drank coffee, so it was always in the house, and it was always like that constant smell of it every morning. You know, it kind of just built into my DNA. And then once college baseball season started, and you could definitely see that. I mean, NVIDIA just broke the highs. I'm not trusting anything on the short side right now, and I don't like to play breakout longs of highs right now. That's just not my strategy. So I like to fade extremes. That's what I do. If you're a breakout trader, go for it. You're approaching this opening range high, so you could look to break out. Hell yeah! I haven't been in college in some time. We're going on 14 plus years ago. It's just that never goes away. I think once an athlete, always an athlete type mentality, especially when you start to play at higher levels. Yeah. But yeah, you get up 4 a.m. for those first practice of the day before class. You know, you pound some coffee, then go to class, fall asleep midday, go to another class, go to practice again, go to lift in the afternoon after the second practice. So you kind of run on caffeine and energy drinks. So you're kind of developing a little bit of I know it's not far-fetched, but it is. You can see this kind of developing here. If you get this delta divergence, maybe a breakdown of this overnight high. I like failed breakouts. Breakouts tend to fail. That's just what I see on a majority basis. So if I get a failed breakout here of the opening range and this high here, this overnight high, and then a crack of this trend line, please disregard this other VWAP that appears on my chart randomly sometimes. I don't know how it appears or disappears, but it's from last week, and it just overrides sometimes. So this is the VWAP for the day. We're still above it, but if we do get a crack here, I'm not paying attention to this line. It is, I guess it's there. It's sort of important. It has some information, but we may look to fade this overnight high once again based on just breakouts failing. That's just my thing. I want to let this. Yeah, I could imagine. My dad can't drink it at all. He turns into like a monster when he drinks it, just like pretty much like Homer there. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's a funny thing because my mom will drink it all the time. I'll drink it all the time, but my dad can't have a sip. He's just like turns into a lunatic. I need to see. We have 2 minutes till 30-minute close. I want to see if this will close. It did close below this little trendline break. So if we do risk, it's not much of a risk here to short this overnight high once again. I want to see what NVIDIA is doing. It wicked off that high. I'll take the short. Oh, I didn't realize that was still out there. I'm going to short 2 micros. And I'm going to risk the high there. And I'm going to see how much of this I can get to the downside. If we can get to 18,000 again, obviously that's the number one line in the sand. If we get there, then we're going to move our stops down to break even. This other trend line that I had going on from earlier, possibly look to hold that as well. So, but just opening range low is the other important level. So there's a lot of key confluences here that we're going to be paying attention to. I think Delta getting super heavy, Tilt got long. I just wanted to play this break of this trend line, failure to break above the overnight high and hold, and that's what I'm looking at. We're at 9:30, so we may get some whippy action here. If it does just rip upside, then we'll be out. But I think we do get some failure of this level. But we're gonna watch Nvidia, see what it does. We'll watch Microsoft as well. Oh, I didn't do it on the right chart. Microsoft, you got a little bit of a rotation downside there on Microsoft. Apple, any reason for Apple to sell off? It seems like it does. So if I had a long-term portfolio that I was averaging into, Apple might be one of the names that I just continue to buy as it goes down. But until it gets to 180, I think we do continue pushing downside for Apple. Here's a starting to crack to the downside. Let's see if we can get this to be a true breakdown or if it's going to hold up at this opening range low. So we're watching it. Really good execution, I'd say right there. We're going to go stop just above, and we're going to let this thing see if it'll bounce off of this area or if it's going to flush it, because I really like this thing short side off of the high, but I don't want to give a ton back if it does break above this overnight. Where's my stop? If we break back above the overnight high, then I think we rally off. So that's where I'm wrong, right? I just want to be out where I'm wrong. Microsoft rolling over, Nvidia rolling over. So everything is acting in our favor for this short to play out, at least down to 18,000, and then it needs to make a decision. But you can see that opening range low played a huge role in support, and as did this trend line. So this trend line didn't crack. It actually held up. 18,026 and 3/4. 18,026 and 3/4 is up here. That's that other little VWAP thing that I got going on there. I think we do fail and rotate downside. Let's get another shot of espresso. I'm trying to be patient on this. Like I said, I think failed breakouts are more likely in this kind of environment right now, especially we get some information coming later on in the week that will drive Fed rates. I think a lot of those numbers are going to come out hot. I think we are going to hold rates longer. I know people have crept in the idea of potentially a hike. I doubt that very much so, especially in an election year. But we are in a seasonality time, right? End of February likes to sell off, especially election year. So potentially like a lot of confluence is historically going in our favor. But we may get stopped out here on this. Just I wasn't risking a ton, right? Not like you see, 30-something bucks. We are out on that. I think if we break and continue on upside, then we do kind of rally to highs. But if we get stopped out and it rolls over now, so be it. I don't trust that if it doesn't hold that and go, then I'm not going to be out. So I like to cut my risk kind of quick and just move on to the next trade and look for that. So we're still up on the day, 66 bucks, so 66 ticks-ish. Not looking, like I said, I didn't force that in there. I think we just executed on our plan. We did what we had to do. We talked through that trade there. That was a execution that I needed to take. I think we're good here. Right, you can see that. I think that still we're in good shape if we would have held that, but so be it. Sometimes you get stopped out. I gotta update this P&L to 66 bucks. Still up on the day. I'm just cautious on the upside with everything. 1026.75. Nvidia is still getting heavy here, which interests me. If one of these other names is bouncing, Microsoft, Apple. I'm gonna watch Microsoft. I think Microsoft is more of our leader today. So we are 1-1 one win, one loss. But you can see our win outweighs our loser, right? That's all I could ask for in this trading game, right? You want to outweigh your losers. We were up about, like $20 on this. We wanted to see this break through this opening range low. That's the real key area for a breakdown that we need to see. I really think that the heaviness is kind of there. We're trying to push these highs, but look at the delta. Delta has not come close to that new high. We may crack that high, right? But it may not play out how we expect it, right? Because if you're that far off and new buy orders, then a crack of this high is on nothing new, right? So potentially look to see if we can get this short to come in again. You're only risking $30, right? So I could risk a little bit on this, a failure of this here, only if we get that full delta divergence, reflush 18,000, and then go from there. I like this short still. I still think that the breakout above isn't really showing me much strength overall. All of these names are pushing to lows. Nvidia is bull flagging kind of, but it's really more of a we broke down, we tried to come up, we failed it, we're looking to break down again. So I think we can be safe to say if we do fail the overnight high again, we do get another push to the downside. And I'm risking to the high here, right? Of this, and that's $38 on. Oh, it's really 60 because I need to get this up to 2. I want 2 contracts on here. If I do get it short, if we do get the failure here, yeah, $50. So you risk, a little bit of what you got going on here, but you're looking to get a bigger follow through on the downside if you do get it. But you can see S&Ps, like I did say, if you got above 102.25, that the long could come in if the NASDAQ plays along. So there is that idea still trying to play out, but we are just failing this opening range high, opening range low, opening range high. That's still a good range. The delta divergence is there. So if we do get a breakdown of this overnight high right now, then we probably get entered into this short, and we see if this will give us the follow through to the downside once again. But if we hold 18.26 and 3/4, then may bounce. So overall, we broke through this trend line. We got a little bit of follow through, but now we're back at the top end here. You're getting a divergence on the delta. You're getting a stronger delta push now. If you do break through the overnight high again, I think like I said, I like to fade overnight highs. I fade overnight lows. I fade these levels as my main strategy. So when we get an opportunity to get back to an overnight high or get back to an overnight low or a previous session high or low, I think rotations happen more times than breakouts do. So I'm watching these things pretty closely. See if we get triggered in. If we get triggered in and it pushes down to 18,000, be mindful of that 18,000 flush. It's been very important over the last few days. It's been important, every time it's gotten to the 18,000 level. So we're just going to be careful and watch it. If we don't get a breakdown, we won't get entered into this trade. So it's no harm, no foul. And if we just continue to rally up and moon mission, then we don't get in. And that's just okay. But right now, another sort of delta divergence. Price is trying to push up to highs. You're getting a wick off here. You're not getting a higher delta. Really does seem like it wants to get heavy right here, right now. I think we can definitely look to see this short come through and then never come back to these highs. If it does come back to these highs, then we're out, right? It is, shit happens. All right, we're flushing to the downside now. Let's see if we can get off. All right, looks like we are filled up on the Top Step X 50K account. We just grabbed another $100 on it. We are up 733.80. I believe that should give us a passing amount. I just got to check my math on it. So we should be funded again, another 50K, which is nice. We're looking to see if we can break through this overnight opening range low. This is what I'm looking to see, kind of get me that follow through down to the downside. Apple pushing lower, Microsoft pushing lower. If Nvidia also broke down, it did. I want to get through 793.78 on Nvidia. I feel like we should never get back to these highs, so I'm going to let this thing play out a little bit longer. I want to watch 18,000, watch it for a bounce, watch it for a flush, and we're going to go from there. So I'm going to let this thing kind of do its thing for a little bit. If I get stopped out at the highs, it is what it is, like, right? Like, if that's just a liquidity grab and we're just going to rip and rally, then I think that's just the name of the game, right? We're just trying to limit our risk. So let me just check on my math here. 916.40. Let's do that. 916.40, 916 and 40 cents minus 199.80. 716 and 60 cents. And how much did I make? 733. Looks like we passed that account. All right. No more trades on that Top Step account. We'll move on to the next and try and work on passing another one. I'm not convinced on this breakdown now, the way that just bounced, but let's see if this will give us that failure of that overnight high again. I'm leaving this to not break highs. I'm going to try my best to let this thing manage itself. I think we are in okay shape to be able to let it breathe a little bit. We have an okay risk tolerance at the moment with these micros on here. We have some room to play with on the profit side, so I'm willing to risk those profits for a much bigger flush to the downside. This is my funded account. I'm not stuck to any target profit or anything like that. I'm just for drawdown really is really what I'm worried about until I can dig out of this hole. So that's why I'm in the micros. But if this thing decides to sell off all day, I could make $10,000 on it. Obviously on micros, that's not going to happen. But if I wanted to, I could, and nobody would say anything to me. They may say good job, but I don't have to worry about a consistency target once you're funded. So this one you don't have to worry about taking profits so much on at time. So let's see, maybe I'll go with a stop sell of 3 here, the low 24 again. Kind of pushing up. Nvidia caught this little wick here down the bottom at 93.78. Microsoft catching slight bounce. So my max drawdown is $2,000 per day, $3,000 total. I had one shitty day last week where I really was just not seeing it, not getting any follow through. Drew down close to 2, and then now once I got into close to that full drawdown, I switched to micros. So once I get kind of close to it, it's just really a feel thing, depending on how many trades I can do with max risk. Usually I would like to have like 2 full losses at least of risk. So I think my trades play out more than that. So especially like this one right here, we're just trying to be very patient on it. But with the buffer, we have a couple $100 of buffer right now. So I'm trying to build it back up to about 1,000 before I switch back to full minis on this account. Like I said, just passed another 50K, so we do have another 50K in the works. So we're funded. We have plenty of room on the funded side, and I'm just going to continue to show you how to pass other accounts. We're going to look to see maybe tilt's not super heavy long. Microsoft catching a bid, Apple catching now another downside move. Nvidia, that bounce really is kind of, I believe, the only thing that's holding us up. So once this does either break downside or upside, we'll have the move that we need to see. I do, like I said, the reason I'm taking this short is I just feel like that failed to break out. Also with our delta divergence that we were getting, every time we try to make a new high, we fail it. The delta never creeps up. New buyers aren't stepping in. Retail was getting heavy long and tilt. So I would like to fade the retail longs, and that's what I think as far as my organic bearish thought on the economy. That also plays in, but like I said, I try to ignore that on a day-to-day basis, and long term I just set it as my levels and work on it from there. But I want to see the thing break down. Looks like it wants to go here. If we fail this overnight high again, Nvidia's rolling down. If Nvidia can crack that 793.78 again, then you may get that full push to the downside again. Is really what I'm looking at. See if Nvidia will break through this 793 and then start to fill up these wicks some at 785. There's some liquidity down here. Obviously, you can see that. But if Nvidia can't hold this 793 and try to push up higher, then nothing else is really going to hold this up. Microsoft pushing higher. There's that push to the opening range high. The reason I have my stop above that other high there is because you can see that Delta wants to pop, but it's just not quite getting there. Microsoft, Apple, just like a little bit of a bounce. Nvidia still pushing lower. I want to see it fail this level. Like I said, I'm risking just what I have my profit for the day on this short. The idea is that if it doesn't break out, the failed breakout out leads to a breakdown. S&P's is still pushing lower. You know, it's at like an indecision at 5,100. So if 5,100 breaks, which it just did, then maybe NQ follows to the downside now, because 5,100 is just now failing in the S&P 500. Another push lower here should give us that final third touch on this high, almost a triple top kind of deal. Any sort of break above will give you that breakout. So if you're a breakout trader, potentially be mindful of that. We do have that high of the day at 18,050 and 3/4. So that's also another area of interest for price to want to get to. We are just sitting at the value area high. Another just kind of failed breakdown on this. So the price just doesn't know where it wants to go at the moment. I'm going to guess that the next go at the bottom is the breakdown. The next touch of 18,000 does get you that good flush. Do we get a wick off high right now and stop us out and then rotate down potentially? We're just going to continue to watch and see what we can get on new trades if this does stop us out. But really, like I said, Delta doesn't play along here. You're trying to make new highs. Delta is just flat. It's heavier. There's not a lot of buyers coming in right here. There's not a lot of people coming in hitting the bid. So that's really what's keeping this. And Nvidia just keeps pushing its head to the downside. Microsoft failing to break the highs. Apple was breaking lower. So everything here, same as when we were in short before, everything here is telling us it's getting heavy, getting heavy, getting heavy. S&P's below 5,100. Apple pushing lows. Microsoft failing to break highs, pushing lows. Nvidia pushing down. Everything is getting heavy. All the top names in the Magnificent Seven, everything in the NQ telling us we are heavy. And that's where I want to just put my chips on that side of the market. Potentially could risk to high of day if I don't want to get wicked out above this high, but I don't mind just getting taken out there, and then if it does roll over again, I'll just take the short the next time. Like, I'll just shoot my shot at it, but I do think that we're not going to get there, so I think our stop was in a perfectly fine location. This overnight low, if it fails, overnight high, that's what we need to see fail. Then you need to rotate through opening range low. Those are the two kind of really important levels that I think are going to have to get weak. You know, the buyer's got to disappear from those levels. You can see Delta trying to push down, price tried to push up, starting to get heavier, heavier, heavier here. Once you crack this, there's somebody there, right? There's a buyer there, and you crack it, it's going to whip down through, which it just did. And now, is it going to hold through it, or is it going to bounce off that overnight low and continue on up to the upside? Really, that's what this level, the overnight levels tell me. If it wants to break and hold, then it likely will rally. If it wants to break and fail, like it did 1, 2, 3 times, failed breakout 3 times, you know, at some point the buyer gives up. NVIDIA looking to crack down. NVIDIA looking to break that 793. There it goes. NVIDIA breaking through the 793, 80, 794. Now that you got that flush, then you should see the flushes in the other things. Microsoft rotating off the highs. Apple also pushing downside further. NVIDIA pushing down. Let's see if we can get this to push. I want to see 18,000 get tagged again. That's my goal for the day. See if 18,000 can get tagged again. I need a failed breakdown of this. Break this down. Break it down. Just holding this overnight high. NVIDIA holding 793.78. That is, if you want my levels on equities, if you trade equities and you don't know levels, man, I'm your guy here. I don't trade them, but I can tell you what they're at. There's a bounce play happening. Microsoft, not. Apple, not. Yeah. There's the bounce, the failed breakdown of the overnight high, possibly looking to see if it'll be now the breakout play. But our stop is where it is, so we're not going to change that just because. Can we get this flushed down now? Anytime, any day now. I know it's like a rising little wedge, but I just don't trust the strength. Everything's so weak. S&P's is still holding below that 100, 5,100. Apple just got a Bloomberg report that said it's looking to expand, but I don't see any sort of reaction in it, so potentially not received as any sort of good news. I do believe that we can continue to see this to downside. Still failing that overnight high. Still failing it. Eventually it'll go. I want to see 18,000 get tagged, baby. Let's see 18,000 get tagged. I believe my stop was in a great location, to be honest with you. I think any sort of break above here, you're going to get that big rally, but I don't feel... It's all about market feel right now, and it feels heavy to me. I mean, I know we're at highs on the NQs, but everything else, not quite. Unless NVIDIA breaks out of this pattern here. Which it looks like it wants to. Again. Holding the overnight high again. Nope, nothing on that. Still waiting on this. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. Oh yeah. Let's go. How much buffer do you keep from the max draw? Yeah, we talked about that. Still waiting to see if this will pop to the downside at all. It looks like it just grabbed a bunch of liquidity and now wants to rock just based on NVIDIA. Microsoft, still heavy. I want NVIDIA to fail it. Another lower high here. One of these breakdowns will act right. I just want the same deal that I got over here on this secondary attempt at a short from the same level. We're just sitting in it. I will normally not enter anything within 5 minutes of a hourly close. However, we're in this already. We've been in it for a while, so we're not looking to get into anything new. We're just kind of managing this position. So that is one of my rules, is not to enter at 5 minutes to an hourly close. I do believe that we can get this to continue downside. However, the hourly close may influence this to pop off upside. So I am going to be mindful of that. NVIDIA did give a little bit of a break up and then right back to the down. Didn't quite follow through. Microsoft giving you this wedge. If Microsoft breaks upside, then we're going to be probably stopped out on this. If Microsoft breaks down, then this should give us some follow through to the downside, down to the 18,000 level. Apple got that news and it's just pushed to the downside. So really, everything that needs to be AMZN, rolling, Meta, every big name here, GOOG, pushing down, GOGL, everything is downside, 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 downside. You tell me that this doesn't look short to you. I don't know. Market is just diverged from its magnificent 7. So it's probably just somebody building into a bigger short, and I'm going to play that down to that overnight low. That's my goal here on this short here. I may even want to risk. We never quite made it to. Oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. I want that down there. I would like to risk maybe even to this high now, just because of the 10 o'clock hour approaching, to get maybe like a whippy action. But I'm just going to leave it where it is. And then if we do get another chance to re-enter, then we will. Just don't want to be crazy with it. I think a breakdown here continues us now. Let's see if it'll roll. We have failed the overnight high again. Does this now break down for good? Or do we hold again? I don't like that random view out that we have. There we go. Nice little push down. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold it and see what happens. I think that we finally cracked that buyer that was at the overnight high, and then the seller is going to come in. We got to be watching this opening range low. We watch that. Just be mindful of that. I'm kind of messing with it. I'm going to see if I can get another Top Step X good account passed here. Let's see. There's a little. I am going to sell. Oh, man. Nope. I'm not going to sell right now because it's. I didn't get the entry that I wanted. So I'm going to wait on that one. Just focus on one account at a time. Funded account right now. So we are sitting. We waited a long time here. We sat through some drawdown. We're going to wait to see what this hourly close gets us. If we can flush to the downside, then that hourly close will help us out, I think. Also, like that 10 o'clock hour, I always find myself in the best situations. S&Ps just broke their lows of the day to the downside, so I would expect the divergence here to be NQ to try and catch up. That's my thought on the day. Let's see. Microsoft broke down. NVIDIA bounced and then broke down a little bit. Not a lot of follow through, but Apple also just straight to the downside. I think if it cracks that low, we could see more. There's Microsoft, another breakdown. I think this has some room. Let's get it to break. It needed to break down here. It needs to get lower. This area of support here is very interesting to me. I don't want to get out yet. I want to let my stop do its thing. I would like to see some follow through on the downside here, just based purely, like I said, on all. Look at this divergence. You try to get new highs. You try to get new high, and you're just getting lower high on the delta, which means less and less buyers, more and more sellers pouring in to this. So there's a good amount of sellers in at this level. And I think if you get a good breakdown of it, then you should rotate much further down. If you do crack 18,010, which is that opening range low, then 18,000 does get tagged, and then we look to see how much further to the downside we could take it. Do I want to turn this into a full loss? No, right? So I want to be mindful of this level. I want to see what goes on here. I want to watch the delta. I am pretty good at feel as far as getting out on something that might feel like it's going to bounce on me, but I really think the 30-minute looks like we're safe where we are, and if it does just kind of rip on us, then so be it. That is what it is. 10 o'clock, we're right at that trend line there. Let's see if this settles down and if it continues to sell, or if at 10 o'clock just continues to pour in this, if we get the buyers to come in. But look at that short, baby. Still getting that pressure to the downside. Like I said, we want to watch this blue line here. A crack of that blue line there gets you even further down to 18,000. Obviously, 18,000 is the most important level that we're going to be interested in on the day. So I know I said I don't want to take a full loss. I think if we do break above this candle here, that we will rotate all the way to highs. However, my whole thought process is based on the overnight high. So if I want to get out above overnight highs, that's really where I'm thinking. So I'm going to tuck the stop there. It's not a big loss, $30 or whatever it is. So we still are in the green on the day if we get stopped out there. I think anything that kind of cracks above there leads to buying coming in. So let's just be careful. You did get right to that overnight low. The opening range low, and bounce exactly off of that level. So do we completely cancel out this breakdown, or do we continue to push downside? So that's what I think about during this. Microsoft caught a bid, slight bid. Apple wicked the bottom and is giving you a little bit of a bounce. We have to let our idea kind of play out based on the time frame that we're thinking, right? But if that's going to hold again and then rip upside, then so be it. I'm looking for a bigger move on this trade. Specifically, I said that I'm trying to hold my shorts a bit longer than my longs. I think longs, if you're in it, get in it, take profit, get out. In this environment, a short, if you hold and you're a little bit patient, I think you can capitalize a lot more on some of these moves. I think there is heaviness in this market. I think that once you get some sellers to pour in, there's more room to the downside than there is on the follow through to the breakout, right? Especially with S&Ps, you can see S&Ps breaking through lows of the day. The divergence is there. We're at the highs. I want to see this get down here, just like S&Ps did. I don't think that the NQs are actually leading. I think the NQ is playing a weird game. There's NVIDIA catching a good bid. Oh shit! Come on, NVIDIA, stop doing this to me. Wild movements. Price is starting to speed up some. Delta's starting to pile in now. You can see people trying to buy it. I am going to get stopped out on this for a loss. Potentially. No. Our stop's still in a good spot. Stop's in a good location. If these names continue to break down, I think we can be good. But I think with NVIDIA just trying to be NVIDIA, might just carry us up to the upside again. That's just, I really have a good, like I said, I have a good feel of when I feel like it's going to reverse. I don't feel like it's there yet. That's why I didn't just flatten it. I was close to it. We put our stop above this candle here because we felt if we do break above that candle, then that's when we're wrong, right? And that's when things are going to start to take off on us a bit more. If we can break down below here, like I said, I think this opening range low is going to give you a good flush as well. So the opening range low is 18,000-ish, 10-ish. So a breakdown below that wick could give you another good entry. So we're going to look to see potentially maybe to catch some momentum to the downside with a breakdown of that opening range low. But we ticked it before, we ticked it here, and we bounced both times. So I think the S&Ps is still continuing pushing down. I think 5092 3/4 will get touched on the S&Ps. Until then, I think NQ has time to catch up to the downside. Nvidia tried to make a new high, didn't get there. Selling from there. I hope Microsoft is just melting off, which it's trying to. I think these names are just hanging in for their last little breath until the NQ decides which direction it wants to go. It's been holding up so well that any sort of breakdown of the NQ will lead Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Google. All those names are going to start to melt off if you get that break of 18,000 one more time. So now that we have approached that level again, I think any sort of bounce again now will be a rally. So I'm going to move my stop just past break even. So this is a free trade for me. I've managed it in a way where until we got the breakdown, true breakdown, I didn't move to break even. I actually want to be just above the ONAS. That's break even to me. It's only $15. But we saw this wick now. We're trying to grab some liquidity, maybe rotate to the downside. We need to see the breakdown of that 18,009, get ourselves down to 18,000, and then see where from there we can get if we can get going. There's a push down. There's a flush of that. Now we're definitely at break even. Right? I added a contract onto my Top Step X combine. I have a second one that's a brand new one. So I added a contract below the opening range low to see if I can get a flush to 18,000, which it looks like we're getting that. There's that push. Let's see if we can get to 18,000. I hope you understand the reasoning behind why I do what I do, or why when I talk through things and what I'm looking at. It is a free trade for me now. I'm just looking to see maybe to get one off at VWAP. I'll mark it out this time because last time I didn't mark it out. But I really think I can get more follow through on this push down because we got that breakdown. We came back up. We failed to break out. Look at that beautiful move. Hell yeah. Anything above there, we're getting out. I am very happy with what we're doing here. I got one. I'm going to just continue to take this to the downside. There is no reason this should bounce other than that VWAP thing there, and I don't see any reason for that. So we will wait to see if we get up into this yellow line, just above 18,000. We'll take one off. I gotta make sure I take off one only. Yeah. There it is. I'll take one off there. So we got one on. There's a runner on. And I'm going to leave that at the high there and see how far I can take it down. If it comes all the way back up to that level, then we're out. But we're going to leave one runner on and see how far down we can take it. We're up one. We closed out profit 113 after taking that one off there. So right now we're just up. And then on the Top Step X, I trailed out the whole position and took 509 on that trade. I took two contracts. I added one below here. And then I took a runner. So I took one contract off here. I mark it out. And now I have one runner on. Worst case, we run up and we stop out for break even. We're still up $113 on the day. So we've secured. I'm not flat. And I'm also in the wrong screen. I apologize. Give me a second. 113.50. And we're floating in profit here. Buy here 113. I forgot the P&L. It's like a weird copy. 113.50. But we're waiting to see if this flush goes further. I was talking you through these trades as they're happening. I'm telling you, this is how I trade every day, all day. I try my best to find good trade location where we can mitigate loss and look to catch moves to at least rotate the extremes to VWAP. Extreme to VWAP. That's what I did, right? Extreme to VWAP. And now I trailed one. And whatever happens with it, happens with it. It looks like it wants to just completely push right back off of 18,000. I think with this breakdown, I don't see why it would want to get up to highs. That was just maybe a liquidity grab or something. But Microsoft did flush and gave you that wick off bottom. The only thing I can see that's a bounce reason is this S&P right here. Caught that 5092 and 3/4. As I said that's going to get tagged to the downside if you fail. Beautiful. And if we crack below here, we're going to still continue to the downside. So that's up to you to kind of let this thing play out. I don't think we see high a day again today. And that's where I want to capitalize on a major move to the downside with one runner, right? I want to let this runner just play out. If we would have did this with our actual full position that we normally take, we take full contracts. I would take 2 and do exactly what I just did. We would be risking, we would have made, how much did we make on that trade there? That first off, we took off 46-ish ticks. That's more than that. $46, $48, 96 ticks. So 96 ticks, you do your math, it's $480 per full contract. And then we'll be sitting in a runner, trying to see how much of this we could maximize. We kind of wicked that VWAP area, 18,000. You caught some actual delta there, where people are actually buying. You could see that wick failed it twice, trying to rotate again through the highs. A failure of this rotates us all the way back up. I don't see why I would want to do that, but like I said earlier, markets do what they want when they want, and that's up to them. You just have to be able to catch a portion of your move, and that's why we did it. We took off one contract there, very happy with what we did with that, right? If we get stopped out here, so be it. I mean, this is really strong. We don't want to get stopped out at the highs. We don't want to take a loss at all. So being flat there, up 119.50, holding 18,000 there again is very important. You could look to maybe even rotate to the highs now, but I am flat now on the trade. We went from up to down to up. We're 119.50. That's 119 ticks when you're trading 2 micros. So that's about how many ticks we've got. Look for another trade. 10-12. We stream 8:30 to 11 every day live on tradecaster.com. If you like the analysis that I just threw out there, how I manage my positions, how I go about explaining to you why I go and hold, why I don't hold, certain things that will get you involved in trades or not. These are just things that I'm looking at all times. We're looking to just kind of develop everybody to understand what levels are, where executions are good, where executions are not so great, and we're gonna just hope to build a nice little community here of traders who just understand what they're doing, why things are doing what they're doing, and all of that. So we're up $120. Might not seem a lot, but after the last few days, we've been averaging about that many ticks. We switched to micros, so for us to be making $100 and something a day in micros is pretty good. I definitely know I know the power of micros. You can leverage up. There's only 2 micros. I'm not trading huge size. If you're into you're trading your own personal account, you don't have a ton of money, switch into those micros. Use limit your risk to the downside and just try and trail out, maximize your risk, maximize your gains here, and that's really what we're trying to do. On the TradeCast community, on YouTube, anywhere you are watching this stream, we are always just talking about, what the best ideas are at the time. And like I said, the reason I'm talking about shorts all day, economically, we can get past that just based on pure price action today. We had made that high, we failed it, we broke down 15,000. We recovered, we tried to make new highs 3-4 times. And the delta here is just people who are buying on the bid, selling on the bid, who's in control at the moment. Buyers were not coming in. There were no buyers coming in here at this level. Overnight high, came back to it, wicked it, rotated back down. Same thing right now. You got right to, we stopped ourselves out right at basically just about break even on that second contract, but looking to rotate back down again. If you fail this opening range low, you should probably never return back to it again, especially if we break 18,000 one more time. So that's really what we're thinking here. We could remain range bound now. There are some data releases tomorrow, durable good orders, pre-market. Then you get some talking heads, feds later on. I think we can continue pushing down. If we do break down from here, this is a high volume node right there at 18,010. You got Nvidia basing out. You got Microsoft. MSFT. Microsoft pushing to the lows. Apple also, it broke the lows, tried to recover. Now we're looking to push down again. I think, like I said, I talked about this 180.50 level and AMZN. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy. It looks like it wants to get through that 174. If Amazon gets through 174.51, if this market starts to roll over, Amazon has all the way down to 171. So if you're an equities person, be mindful of that 174.50. Meta, heavy, Google, heavy. Nothing is holding this market up. The only thing holding it up is itself and Nvidia. But Nvidia just, I think Nvidia will follow if this market breaks down again. I think we're just kind of like we didn't quite give the follow through 18,000, which is the only concern. But we have wicked 18,028 on the 30-minute 1, 2, 3, 4 times now, and any sort of breakdown probably gets sold off into. I don't know if these bids are going to be convincing to me. This is the only thing that's holding us up, because all these other names are so beaten down. I can't see them like just rallying off these lows on a Monday. Oop. I say Microsoft rolls, NVDA rolls. Can we crack down below here again? Any sort of crack down below here again? Maybe I go short one more time. Or if we get above that 28, then fail that, I may look to rotate that down. I'm going to get rid of this line because it doesn't matter right now. The only problem I have also is that the S&Ps wicked that 509,275 and didn't hold below. So we are catching a bounce in the S&Ps, which was leading us, I believe, to the downside. Now trying to catch up to the NQ to the high side. There is, like I said, there's been a divergence on them all day. One of those names is the leader. I believe it's the NQ, the ES to the downside, but NQ has been holding us up just enough. Could I risk $20, $40 to catch another move to the downside? Looks like it wants to kind of pop that high. 50. I'll look to short right here. I want to see it get heavy right here. Microsoft again pushing down. That's why I want this thing short.
Order filled.
I'm going to take this short. If it fills me here, I will look to see. There we go. We're short. Let's see. We're risking just above this overnight high. That was an immediate bounce from there. But let's see if we can get the good flush through. I like the way Microsoft's being so heavy. It's a confluence to me. I think Microsoft and Apple, as long as they're still continuing to the downside, we should be fine. Nvidia doing whatever it does, it is holding us up. But Microsoft being super, super heavy here gives me the idea that this wants to probably roll from this area one more time. If we can flush 18,000 this time, could it be the true break of 18,000? That's the question. like once again, I may just take one contract off down there just to secure some of those profits and then do the same thing once again. So take one off down here. A buy limit right there. If we take one off there, then we'll have, although I would like to have a full 2 on for the break, I may just trail to break even on this if we can get that far down. That's really the idea. Because this time, if it breaks, it's probably a more true convincing break. So let's rotate it down to the value area low. That's really, I'll take one off at the value area low. I think that could be a good area of one profit taking and then letting a bigger runner go. And I'm just going to trail this as we get closer to 18,000 to break even and stuff like that. So just make sure that I can secure some of this. Or just limit my downside, right? If it's just a free trade, it's a free trade. I don't care what happens to it after that, right? But if I can't break down, then we'll take the loss and move on. I like to fade this level until it stops working, right? Apple, Nvidia gave you a little bit of a downturn there. I can't see this being a double bottom into Microsoft. I don't have it broke that pre-market low, yesterday's low, or Friday's low, and now we're just sitting at the lows from 2 days ago. I think we can flush that 408. If we do, we can get down to that 406.18 at some point soon, either today or tomorrow. Just with the heaviness of it, I think that's the one thing there. I think with the wicks on this 30-minute, you can see the wicks on this 30-minute showing us it wants to reject that level. Any breakdown below where we're at on a 30-minute kind of shows you a little more weakness. S&P's also just holding below that previous low there as well. So right now we're seeing this as a delta divergence, right? At a key level, looking to fade it back into profit. And then as we get to push down, if we can get, like I said, that opening range low, that's that first little line in the sand. And then obviously, like I said, 18,000, 18,000, 18,000. It's going to be the number of the day. Microsoft breaking lows again. I love to catch these shorts as they approach my level. Got to be aggressive on them. I can't not take the short. I have to take the move when it's going to take itself out there and present itself. So that's what I'm looking to do here. I want to see now if we can get that follow through to break down through that 18,009, 18,010 level. So that's where I need to get through. If I can get through this and hold, then my stop's at break even, free trade. If we bounce from here, anything above that level there is going to take us off to the upside. So I'm going to move my stop there. Let that be a limited risk trade. This is really a high reward, limited risk type trade, right? I'm only risking right now to the high side about 20 something bucks, $30. And the potential for this thing to roll over and push down to overnight lows is much higher than holding the highs, right? So I can have a free trade, literally risk to $30, risking $0. I'm risking $0 now to maximize my gain to the downside. I limited my risk to start this trade, and now I'm trying to maximize everything that I can on it, right? I don't know how you guys trade. I can't do much more than that because then I'll be too much on this trade to the downside. I have another Top Step X account that I am in profit on right now. I'm going to let this thing do its thing above here. I'll take that little bit of $20 on it just in case 18,000 does want to just hold one last time. But I think a flush of 18,000 gets you well to the pushing down. This is a very strong delta, right? Very, very strong. You're seeing it continue to pour in. 18,000 just cracked. You break this little VWAP thing that I have here. The longer, that's today's VWAP. So if we can break today's VWAP, we will rotate down. I think I'm going to take that first contract off at value area low. And we just made $1,300 in the other Top Step X account. So we're rolling in combines. We're rolling in the funded account. We're up $200 on the day on purely micros. Okay, so I'm having my stop just above 18,000. If we're gonna bounce off of here, so be it. I would like to take one off down here. I think if we do catch a little bit of a bid, it does rally hard off of 18,000. So I don't want to give that much back. As much as I try to let some of these things breathe, there's not a lot of follow through. We will take that off there. See that bounce right through 18,000. We're up 167. We secured 167. I didn't get a chance to get that off. I probably, looking at it, I wanted to see this bottom break. We didn't break it. I think for the most part, we're going to be done with our trades on the day. I think anything now possibly looks to just rotate us through highs. And I don't want to play any breakouts. I'm not a breakout kind of guy. So if we see a lower high, then maybe you could see if you want to continue to short. I'm going to stay on till 11. This is not very important anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. It did play as a breakdown level, but I don't need it. It's not the important thing right now. So overall, very, very happy. Another great execution type day. We started the week off absolutely money on not just executions, but talking through what we were thinking about, right? I wanted to just give you a real reason behind my trades. I don't want to just execute and make money and not have any clue of why I was doing it or what the levels are or anything like that. Overall, for a Monday, like I said, I try to limit a lot of giving a lot back on Mondays. We are trying to build our funded account back out of the drawdown. I kind of gave myself a little bit of a hole to start it. The first 2 days that I traded it a little shitty. I mean, not even that I traded bad, but I just didn't get followed through on the trades that I was looking at. But since those 2 days, the last 3 days of trading, we switched over to micros. We gave ourselves good trading execution locations. And today we are up 167.50. We were up 180. We were up 200. But I saw anything that recovered 18,000, we were going to get out on. So we took off that profit there. It was another $50, but that's another 55 ticks. I'll take 50 ticks. You're going to give me 50 ticks? I'll take it. Just based on the lack of follow through last week, I wasn't securing profits and then I was taking losses, and that's what got me in trouble. So since I stopped expecting bigger follow throughs on some of these moves and trailing based on how I see market acting and certain levels, I've been doing a much better job of doing that. The only difference was I did think that if we broke 18,000 here this time, that we would rotate down to that value area low, which we didn't. And I didn't take one contract off. I took both contracts off this time. The first time through from here to here, I took one off at the bottom at just above 18. And this time I took two off. We didn't really see that whole follow through. I did mention that I was going to let it go, but I don't want to give back 50 ticks after being up 200. You kind of want to secure your profits. Seeing some of this not break down, especially with some of these names just totally breaking, and there's not a lot of follow through. But if you're an equities trader and you're following me, my levels are on point. Look at these zones. We got it to the tick at 180.74. This is why I'm cautious to see some follow through to the downside, because this is the point where I said in my write-up, if you check out the write-up in the alerts or on YouTube, it's in the bio of this. If we get down to these levels on Apple, on Microsoft still has the 406.18, so we could get some follow through there. But with Apple, I do see a bounce at 180 potentially happening. It's happened a few times over the last week. This is a key level for Apple to possibly catch a bounce. And if NVIDIA catches any sort of bid right now and rotates through 800 and up to the upside, that will help Apple continue its bounce off 180. So I think my short idea at the moment has completely been stopped. I'm not going to execute on another try at it this time, because I do feel We even did get a higher high, even though it's very micro. You got wick, lower high. You're coming into this trend line. A crack of this could lead us to that overnight high, and then break onto the highs at 18,050.75. And like I said, if you look at my write-up, I'm not bullshitting you. If you go into the write-up in the alerts, I mentioned you watch Apple down to 180, watch it to this zone. Be cautious of continuing shorts on the NQ if Apple or one of these names gets to a bounce location. Amazon didn't quite break 174.57. I did mention if we do break this level here, potentially we rotate down. If you do get the NQ to break at any point, it's been propped up. It hasn't broke. I think if NQ breaks, Amazon cracks 174.50 and rotates down to 171. But as long as it holds above here and it's bouncing off 174, your NQ is going to continue on upside. Meta is not doing anything. Goog is still beaten down, but I think MSFT catching a bid here, and Apple also bouncing right off of our level is going to get you to get some carry on, follow through on a breakout. If you are a breakout trader, look for the break above overnight highs, and then see if it'll come into today's high. Also with ES, it wicked off that 92.75 level and now is rotating higher. So you watch this, see if that's going to push up. If that pushes up from here and gets back into this, let's say the breakout point from previous days right here at, I guess 5,100 is still a possibility that the S&Ps wants to get to. But look at this breakout point. Wick, lower high. You're in this little wedge pattern. You break above here. I think the highs are in play just because NQ has been so strong, even in spite of all these names being broken, right? Our level up here, I said if we get into 412, look for the short. What happens? Short comes in. My levels are money. You need to execute based around levels. Give yourself an idea of why levels are there, right? They're areas where buyers and sellers have come together in the past and executed trades. And sometimes those levels just continue to have liquidity at those locations. If you get there, look to play that opposite end. If you look to break right through it, look for it to hold, and then look for it to rally, right? I mentioned that in the write-up. If you check out my write-up, I broke down Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, NVIDIA, all these names kind of just being very weak. The only one I said was strong that was going to prop us up was NVIDIA, and it seems like that's the case here as well. So you do get a break and hold. You got to wait for a close above here. I think highs are in play just because it's just in spite of weakness, the NQ has been rallying. There are buyers somewhere. We did make a new high in Delta, so the buyers are. It's a congruent buying that's happening. It's not a divergence like we saw over here. Last time we were here, we came up to this pre-market high, opening range high. Tried to break it 3-4 times, failed. You can see diminishing delta. Finally, you get a crack in the delta, you get a crack in the level, and you get a full rotation through without much resistance, right? And you're able to profit multiple times on that push down. Yes, my profit number on this account isn't super high, but the executions are there. The thought process is there. We're only trading micros today, so for us to be up 167, if you do your math, it's times 10 in a full mini contract. So that's $1,600 a day, and we can prove that here with our Top Step X combine that we have going. We have secured 1,323 on this combine. We passed this one just now. I limited my win because I only needed 700 and change because I already was well above the profit target on this 50K. I made too much on Friday, so I needed to make another 700 and change, and there you go, 733 gets us back over the threshold on the extra money that I needed to make. It's very interesting to watch some of these levels play out that I've had drawn up. I'm also gonna put this one out there because I think it's pretty important. Not the bottom of the wicks, but the bottom end of this right here. Alt H. That's a pretty important level as well. You can see it's 18,000 flat. I just have it there. Normally I don't draw it up because I don't necessarily need to, because it's a psychological level. But I like to see it because it'll remind me, 18,000 is incoming, or 18,000 got wick liquidity, pushing up to 18,050 possibility, right? So we got this account up to 733. We passed another 50K. It's a good week to be a funded trader. If you want to learn how to pass these combines, come into this room. I'm going to be passing them like clockwork. Yes, we drew down on this funded account. Maybe I was either a little aggressive, or we just weren't taking our profits when we needed to. I learned my lesson, switched over to micros. We're going to build out of the drawdown, show you how to, even though you drew down, there's ways to build out of your drawdown, and you can definitely make that happen here on Policing Pips live stream every day, 8:30 till 11 Central Time. I'm done with my executions on the day. At the moment, I don't really trust anything to have any conviction either way. Like I mentioned, the Delta did push up, and we did have a good congruence here. But I think we may possibly break to the upside if any of these names continue to catch any sort of bid, just because with them breaking down, NQ has yet to push to the downside. So with NVIDIA kind of holding up, you got a pretty big wick there, so maybe that does give you some downside pressure in NVIDIA. But Microsoft catching a little bit of a bounce. Apple at 180 to 180.74 to a tick, right to my zone to a tick, is bouncing. So it's up to the penny in the equities. So I should say to the penny, to the tick would be in our futures. But you can see S&P's rejected 50, 92 and 3/4 and is bouncing from there. The NQ is looking to break the 26 and 3/4 level, but it's rejecting that overnight high at 28 flat. So if you do get a flat top breakout, look for that high of day to income. I think just if you get any of these names to play along to upside at all, I was saying in my write-up, if you do get to those levels, be cautious on playing any sort of continuation break to the downside. Look for bounces at those locations, and you are getting a bounce on Apple, but you are getting some pullback as well. It's not quite playing along. And NVIDIA did give you that wick-off high from 800. Seems like maybe some liquidity was grabbed at 800. So I don't play breakouts, so I'm not. I just say anybody in the room who's looking to potentially play a breakout, if you get strength in any of those names, NQ has been strong in spite of weak Magnificent Seven names. So if you get any sort of bid in NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Google, any of those names, a breakout above where we're at now possibly leads you to a high of day with some sort of follow through from these names. Me, I'm a contrarian. I fade. I don't like to play breakouts because a lot of times they fail on me. That's something I'm looking to fade, but really right now I don't trust the fade because of the strength in the Delta, the strength in the NQ, as opposed to everything else. It's been the leader of the day. So I think really there's your breakout of that set 28. If you're a breakout trader and you get a breakout of the opening range high, 18,050 and 3/4 is not out of question for the day, and then potentially beyond. So that's really what I'm thinking about. I don't play it. I am going to trade till 11 today, but I'm not going to play this. I'm not a good breakout trader because, like I said, a lot of times I'll try and hold the breakout either too long and it'll come down, fail me out. And I've noticed for myself, my strategy, I use the levels to just fade it and try and get some pullbacks to the mean. And it's more of a mean reversion type strategy. And as you have a bigger buffer, myself, I can kind of withstand some of the breakout to allow for pullback. Within the prop firm, I can't necessarily do that, but it may break out right here. That high, that opening range high, Delta is creeping up. It's not diverging at all. Microsoft's giving you a bounce. Apple bounced off of that low at that where I mentioned before. So Apple bounce continuing. Yeah, give me 1 minute. I'm gonna take a step out.
talking to him, so he's gonna be. And you can give it to me.
All right, gotta set up something on the company. I have something I need to do here, so I'm gonna switch that over here. Okay, some coffees have been shipped. That's good to see. I need to get over to here. Selling discounts. All right. Good stuff. There's that break of the high. I did mention that if the overnight high was going to break, that we were going to get that follow through a little bit. So good to see that is playing out. Like I said, I'm not looking to take any more trades on the day. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, ideas on what they're looking at, something that they want to have me kind of go through and go over, more than happy to do it. I'm really very happy with the executions on the day. For a day that's pretty much gone nowhere, right? This is our opening range. We're still in that opening range. We got that breakdown. Sorry, I'm trying to manage a business at the same time. Well, if you're watching and you have no trades going on and you need some coffee or something, head over to daytradingcoffeeco.com. It's coffee for traders by traders. We roast freshly on order, so everything you get is fresh, delivered to your door. And if you use my username here, Policing Pips, you get 15% off your orders. So it'd be cool. Yeah, you can take this back. I set it up for him. If he answers, I have it on here.
Okay. Do you tell him 15?
Yeah, I told him.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. He sent it to which account?
Hmm?
Which account did he send it to? Where did he message you?
I messaged him on my account.
On your personal account?
Yeah.
Oh, your personal account.
Yeah. I was gonna do it on the thing, but
I was wondering. I was like, I don't see it on here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Just tell her. Tell him Anthony set up the code if he asks. All right. There's that break above, opening range, high. You can see it on the 30 minutes so much better. I'm a 1 minute scalper. However, you can see right here, this is the S&Ps held at 5092 and 3/4 to the tick. If you switch over to the NQ, you can see we broke above here. You're looking to get some strength. I mentioned if you break and hold above that 26, that 28 levels are overnight high level. That rotation to probably the high of at least this candle at 1850 and beyond up into these highs here, right? This is kind of like where that may come into some actual, resistance and maybe get a little bit selling. But overall, I think, once you break above here and you've gathered a lot of this at 928, you've rallied up, you sold off, price is just kind of drifting higher. And when it drifts higher like that, a lot of times it just continues on, especially when you don't break down a key level. You've held 18,000 now today. We broke down and we failed it once. We broke down twice, held it 3 times, 4 times. We've held that 18,000 level to pretty much the T. And now we're pushing and drifting higher. So just if that's what you do, you're a breakout trader and you're looking to kind of just catch a longer term, maybe move off here. Yes, I think it possibly can go. I fade extremes, so I'm looking to, I'm not looking to do it, but I'm looking for a delta divergence on a lack of follow through of a break of the high, and I would look to fade it. That's my strategy. But I mentioned to you here, a breakout of this zone here probably gets you a rotation to 50. It didn't happen fast. Oh, thank you for the banana bread. Love you too, big guy. Hey, high five. Boom. That's it. It's a family trading environment. Family fun. 1850 incoming. So not only do I call out trades that I take, I call out levels and ideas of trades that I didn't take, but I could potentially maybe add into my repertoire later on. These trendline cracks seem to be working like butter of late. If you were to take your profits, front run it. I usually front run like by a point, so you probably would have secured that if you got the breakout here to there. You would have caught 105 ticks, so that's good. Just like Deck, putting money in your pocket. I think I'm out here with all few of you who are joining on a day-to-day basis. I really appreciate you. We're trying to grow the stream organically. If you find any value from what I mentioned, anything that I talk about on a day-to-day basis, it is appreciated if you share it up, let everybody know about this room. I don't expect to grow to thousands of people overnight, but I do think that, week to week, we can definitely grow by a few people, build a nice little community, a bunch of people who are interested in the realities of trading with a day job, with a family, and leveraging contracts of prop firms and stuff like that. So, like I said, this is a $100,000 account that I have funded here. I just got funded on another $50K account, and we're up halfway to our target in one day on a third Top Step X account. So really just overall, we have the ability to pass these accounts. We have the ability to get into drawdown and burn accounts. And we also have the ability to get drawn down and show you how to dig out of the holes. And that's what today is going to be. That's what this week is going to be. We're going to look to try and slowly grind out of this hole with micro contracts. Understanding that we have a good feel for the market. We know our levels. We have a good reason of why we got in here, why we got re-entered here, why we took this trade there. All of these moves, we secured them properly and we trailed them out to maximize our profits.
You don't have a wishes apart. You have that half.
Oh, really? What happened to it?
You have like a little thing on the bottom.
It's old?
A little thing.
Oh, good. Good to know.
It's just like it's
Banana bread at work.
It's I left there at work, but it's not like bad or anything.
Whatever.
It's just a tiny thing.
I'll live.
It's good though. I just thought I want to have this like this thing.
Whatever. Probably should throw it out after today.
Huh? I think it was.
Okay. There's a big order sitting at 50, so let's watch it. It's 179. Large order sitting here. I have no reason to stay on past 11 today. I don't think. There you go. Push through that big order. There's that 50 break. Talking through your trades will really help you out, right? Once I see that this doesn't break 18,000, I get out of my short. I secure my profits. I say, if we don't break it here and we continue to rally up and you show strength with all these names getting beaten down, if you get anything where this gets to a level where it wants to bounce, if Apple wants to bounce at 80, 74, the top end of my zone that I've been mentioning, if you go to the write-up and check it out, the write-up says, be careful if any of these equities gets to a bounce point when you're either showing relative strength or you're at a key level, and our key level was 18,000, right? So I say, okay, Apple's getting stronger, even though Microsoft's getting beaten down. If NVIDIA plays along to the upside, which it tried to and it kind of failed, what's driving this up? The NQ is diverged completely from a lot of these names, right? Because if you look through these names, NVIDIA has been the strongest. It hasn't really rallied, but the price has held up and rallied, right? And you have Microsoft. Microsoft has just been beat down since 412. I called out that 412 level. I said if we fail here, we're probably going to rotate down and get the NQ to follow. Microsoft has just been beat down. You didn't get the follow through to the downside. Apple, same thing. Wicked up, rotated down right to a support level. All of this selling did not equate to any real selling in the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is showing relative strength. Amazon, I said if it was going to bounce from there, it was going to bounce from there. So it's been kind of just sitting above the level that I was talking about. Google was beat up. G-O-O-G. Google's beat up. All these names, Tesla maybe is hold us up. So Tesla maybe be the one thing that's driving this upside and holding us, but it's not as heavily weighted as the other three, right? The Apples, the Microsoft. Now that you're catching the bid off the bounce, that's where you're getting the follow through to the upside. So you can tell that it was diverging. NQ was way higher. Cool. Sweet. You can see that, and the S&Ps was heavy, but at the same time the S&Ps were heavy, the NQ was rallying, right? And then it based instead of following through to the downside. So the divergence was there. I was saying, who's the leader right now? Who's the leader? Basically, it has been proven now that the NQ has been the leader. Obviously, it's been held up. 18,000 holds. As 18,000 holds, I said, okay, if we hold here and Apple gets to bounce or Microsoft gets to bounce, anything that catches a bid is going to get us to drive higher, push to the upside, and rally us through to the highs of at least the high of the day and maybe beyond. Right now we're at that area of resistance that I said, 54 3/4. Up into that area there, that 64 1/4 will be a little choppy, I think. Just based on this being not really like anything that's because of anything. It's just because now you're catching a bounce. And I mentioned here, I trailed out and I said if 18,000 fails, then we're probably going to go to the highs. 18,000 failed to break down. It held. We rotated up. I said, if you get through here and you crack, 1850 is your first target, and then you can look to trail and take some profit. So it pretty much worked out exactly to a T. You broke through the opening range high, and now we're just in that slow grind higher. If you catch a bid in any of these names, if Microsoft continues up, if NVIDIA starts to push, even though it's wedging to where it looks like it wants to break down, maybe we're going to pay attention to these levels for another sell-off again. But I'm not taking any of these trades. We're 5 minutes to 11. My day ends at 11. My stream ends at 11. I got to go to work, do the day job, do the pushing parts of the pips. So we're going to just kind of talk through a lot of these things, what could possibly happen moving forward, and then use this information for ourselves tomorrow. I just don't have any conviction on follow through to the upside with the way these names are just so heavy. I said my bias is short. And we talked about my long-term bias, right? My long-term macroeconomic environment bias is pretty bearish, to be honest with you. We're at these crazy highs, sort of unjustified. If you're living in reality and you know people who are real people, you know that shit's expensive, right? Inflation, they say, is creeping down, even though it's still up. It's way higher than they even ever report. It costs $600+ extra a month in groceries for an average family, as opposed to a year, I believe, ago. Credit card companies are reporting record high defaults and also record high balances. So you have that bubble. So the inflation and the economic conditions of strength in the economy are being held up on the backs of people using credit cards when interest rates are at highs and defaults are at highs and balances are at highs. At some point, if there's any sort of break in it where these defaults start to continue on and rocket up, you're going to get a big time sell-off, right? And that's why I always try to be a little bit more into trying to get some of these shorts on a day-to-day basis. But like I said earlier, I try to separate that from my intraday positions, right? If we get to certain key levels like we did today, I'm going to look to short. I'm going to look to hold them longer. But the market's not real. If you could do that exercise in your head of not marrying a bias, not being Michael Berry and trying to get everything short every single time and react on a day-to-day basis, because we're day traders, right? I have to be flat with Top Step by 310. I can't hold things overnight. I can do it on my brokerage, yeah, sure, but margins increase overnight, right? All those things happen. And with futures, yes, you can hold them a little bit longer term, and you can play a longer term bet, but you have to deal with some of this drawdown because the markets it's a game. People are pumping money into their 401ks on a month-to-month basis. So things are inherently biased to go up until it breaks. We are at extreme greed. You start to see people saying, I want to buy this, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. If your neighbor that you know that doesn't know anything about stocks or the market and starts talking about it, that's your indication. Think about it to go the other way, because that's what the big money is thinking, right? So that's where I'm at macro. And then short term, I just flipped my bias, right? You saw me do it live. I flipped my bias. I didn't take a long. I just told you that I'm getting out of my short now. Longs probably come in here and they take over from this point with 18,000 holding a third, fourth time, right? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. It was resistance, but it acted now as support. And then you broke overnight highs, this time with a delta conviction, right? So I didn't want to get in front of that anymore. I'll flip my intraday bias based on price action. Longer term, yes, I can hold a bearish bias and still make money to the long side. So that's how you kind of really are going to be able to get your mental game over some of these things where you get married to an idea, and that's really just not going to help you out. I get myself in trouble like that all the time, right? I'm like, there is no way that we continue higher, and it continues higher because the market doesn't have to do anything. It can just do whatever it wants on a day-to-day basis. If there's a big player that wants to just set a buy order in there and bid up the price it's going to do that. So until that breaks, until maybe even until these rate cuts happen, you're going to continue to see this anticipation of rate cuts, and then you're going to see a sell-off, and then you're going to see anticipation of rate cuts, and you're going to see a sell-off. That's really just kind of what the market does. So if you got no questions, comments, concerns, I didn't see Spy Bro be over here today. He usually pops in and out, probably has class. I appreciate everybody coming in, talking through trades, giving out good questions. We do have a giveaway coming. If we can get this stream to 25 viewers any day this week, next week, I'm going to do a free month of Tradecaster. So if you're over on YouTube, head over to the link, sign up for tradecaster.com. It's free. You get a free trial. Even after your free trial expires, we never charge a card, anything like that. I'm a free streamer for the time being, for a while. So you'll be able to see me, make some money with me, understand how to kind of learn about trading a bit. And there's a failure of the highs. So maybe now this true sell is in, but I'm done trading for the day. So it's up to you to make your decisions based on how we talk about levels, how we talk about zones, and if maybe we grabbed all the liquidity there. Like I said, I don't play breakouts because I think breakouts fail more than they play. But, this failed breakout, rotation down lower, watch the 18,000 level again, see if it holds. So until tomorrow, like I said, get as many people in here as you can. Anybody who is interested in trading. Once we get this stream up to 25 viewers, I'll do a giveaway for one person for 25 for a free month of Tradecaster. And as we grow through Tradecaster and we start to build a nice little community here, I'm going to be doing giveaways. I'm going to be giving away coffees from my company, daytradingcoffeeco.com. You head over there. I'm also, the part of the company is giving away combines, giving away money to underfunded traders. So if coffee's getting bought and we start to get into profits, and when we start profiting bigger and bigger, we're going to start with 10% of all profits are going to go to a funding fund. That funding fund is going to go to buying combines to start. Since I am a futures trader and I'm trading on combines and trading on funded accounts, we're going to start by giving away those. And then we're going to work on partnering with a couple companies. And then from there, as the funding fund grows, I'm going to look to give away cash account and partner with brokerages. And we're going to try and do our best with Day Trading Coffee Company to put money in traders' hands and allow them to not only be fueled by our coffee, but also be funded by our company as well. So that's really the long-term goal of Day Trading Coffee Company. So being involved in the Tradecaster community, I'm going to be doing giveaways. Most of the coffee giveaways stuff is going to happen within Tradecaster as well. Because anybody who's really involved in this community, involved in trading, who wants to get involved with the giveaways is probably going to be in the room anyway. So we're going to do a lot of the giveaways in here, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to grow the company. We're going to grow the stream. We're going to build a nice little community here, and hopefully you can learn how to be a real trader with good money management skills, with people that you enjoy hearing talk and having a good conversation with on a day-to-day basis. We got family, we got a job, we got trading, we got companies, and we just got good levels, and we talk about confluences, we talk about everything on a day-to-day basis. So if this is something that you're interested in being a part of, go over to Tradecaster, join, subscribe, like this channel, and like I said, it's free up until you want to start paying for it and you find the value of the rest of the lobbies and some of these other rooms. But I'll be free for the time being. You come in, you join us. I'm going to say it, like I said, once the stream hits 25 viewers on a day, I'm going to set up some rules and we'll do a giveaway for one free month of Tradecaster.com. Thanks to Deck and everybody at Tradecaster. I appreciate AK47 stopping by today. He is awesome. He's done for the day. I believe he said he was done trading, but he does do midday shows on education and stuff like that. So I would, when I get off of here, if you still feel like you want to be watching charts and screens and stuff like that, head over to AK's lobby, head over to Deck's lobby, head over to some of the other people's lobby here and learn a thing or two about trading from more than one person. I think once you start sticking with one person, you start to get a little pigeonholed. You can't develop your own personality. So I like to pick and choose things from a lot of different traders and create my own strategy, my own style, my own way of making money in markets, and then you can do that as well. So like I said, until tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. I'm off tomorrow, so maybe we'll go past 11, but we'll see. Today, we're done here. I appreciate all of you. Come back every day, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. When the market's open, we're here. And like I said, I'm going to be here every day I possibly can. If I'm not going to be on, I will advise you guys, but I'm going to try and trade every day that I possibly can this year. So until tomorrow, I will see you guys. We profited today. We're up 167.50 on that funded account trading micros. We got funded on another 50K account, and we're up over 1,300 on another Top Step combine. So we're well on our way to getting some more funding and showing you how it's done and how we can execute on levels and make some good trades. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you guys later.